Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
What is intraday mode all about? What is the intraday strategy? What makes intraday modes powerful? What makes precision modes powerful? So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over to the GearBox manager chart here. So what this chart is again, this is the entries for the precision mode. So all right, the first thing is we're talking about intraday today, but what is intraday, right? You have instant entry, which is where it's going to enter on gear 0. And then you have skip a level, which is where it's going to enter on gear 1. And then you have your precision modes, which are swing, which is the blue boxes here. And then you have orange, which is sniper, and red, which is super sniper. So these are the different coordinated entries for these different currency pairs based on volatility, the way they move in the market, their average daily range, a bunch of different factors to determine which pairs should enter when and how. So obviously you see that there are pairs on this list that are really volatile. Example, GBP NZD isn't even entering on swing until a gear 6. So understanding that you're not going to run skip a level or instant entry on a pair like GBP NZD, you would just be asking to lose money. It would be very silly of you to do. So what you're going to be looking to do is you're going to be looking to use what we call intraday modes. So here are our intraday modes that you see. And in the intraday modes, you see that you have your instant entry strategy, and then you have your skip a level strategy. So the skip a level strategy, all right, obviously, as we talked about, you're skipping level 0. The instant entry strategy, you're immediately entering. Now, the instant entry strategy carries some similar resemblance to what we discontinued as a product known as Einstein. Now, since that was discontinued, we made it to where GearBox could pick up those Einstein trades. Now, there are some differences within GearBox from that being there are no such thing as what we call double trades. So it makes it a little safer on that regard, as well as it has more risk management features. Now, if you were going to use the instant entry strategy, which is the most similar to Einstein, for those people that maybe switched from Einstein or are looking to continue to use something similar, you could use the pairs you were using in Einstein, or you can choose between the pairs listed here and choose 3 of them for the instant entry strategy. Now, remember, if you're using $1,000, you're only going to choose 1 pair. If you're using $2,000, you're going to choose 2 pairs. If you're using $3,000, you can use 3 pairs with a 0.01 per 3K starting lot size, right? Now, you would choose between the 3 of these or one of these ones as I listed here. Now, skip a level is the more popular intraday strategy because it's more risk adverse. And the reason for this is you're not constantly exposed to the market movements. It really gives you a little less exposure because you're still waiting for something to happen in the market before you actually get into it. Trade. Now, what I will tell you is intraday modes are best for larger balances. Really a smaller balance actually has the most risk in intraday mode, whereas a larger balance actually has less risk because of the settings and the strategy. A larger balance is more designed for intraday modes. Because you can handle more exposure to the market. You can handle being in trades longer. You have more equity and skin in the game. Whereas for smaller balances, I'd really say precision modes were designed for safety. Intraday modes are designed to help you make money in boring market conditions where precision modes aren't taking any trades. So you might be saying, well, what do you mean by, well, precision modes aren't taking any trades? Well, I'm going to go to some VPSs of mine. Just give me a second. I'm going to get them to connect here. I have a bunch of VPSs where I'm running, probably I have 60 different gearboxes or so running between my one pair data accounts and different accounts. And what I wanted to show you is, first, how you can determine a lot of the times, if the market's moving a lot or if it's not moving. And you can really just kind of take a look at the gear entries chart and determine a lot of this. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to just connect right here and we're going to go through and talk a little bit about this. So what you'll see here is these are different accounts I have running. These are all gearboxes individually running one currency pair, and you can see many of them aren't in any trades. You can see EuroCAD's in a trade and its balance protection's been hit. You can see Euro USD is not in any trades. It's in a level 0 sell. So you can see that these are charts that are currently scanning and you're not really getting trade opportunities. Euro JPY has made it to a sell 3. It's getting kind of close to its entry here. So there's some cool stuff going. I mean, like you said, 2 here. I mean, just some of these pairs aren't really moving to where they're getting entries, as you see, especially when it comes to these precision modes. GBP AUD is on a sell 4. That's getting up there. GBP CAD 3, 0 and 0, -1, right? So you can see there's definitely things that are, keeping them as well from getting into trades. And this is where intraday modes come in, because precision, there are just weeks where things aren't moving the way they need to move for precision mode to get an entry. And you can see that that's been happening this week with many of the precision modes. You can see this is my $10,000 account that we trade, and it got out of some trades yesterday, made some money, and then got back into drawdown. The trades went back another direction again on it. It's still in some profitable EuroCAD trades, but we're really waiting on a EuroCAD swing and a CHF JPY swing right now, very heavily, as we can see on this account. But we're now only in 2 pairs. It got out of NZD CAD yesterday, actually made some money. But the point in showing this is, again, to express that in times where precision mode might be a little boring, this is where intraday mode can shine, is the weeks like this. And I know that intraday mode has been shining for many people the last 2-3 weeks. Well, precision hasn't been delivering results because there haven't been many trade opportunities. Well, in understanding that, all right, as we see going through all my different accounts I have here, you also need to just understand that, yeah, there's times where intraday mode is going to shine, and there's other times where intraday mode is going to get you in trouble, which is where precision is going to shine. So in understanding all of that, the point is you want to be using 2 different gearboxes. You want to have a precision and you want to have an intraday mode if you are going to use these strategies. And the reason for that is just because it makes sense to not limit yourself. It makes sense to have your intraday mode gearbox and your precision mode gearbox, so that the weeks that precision mode isn't doing anything, you're making money in intraday mode. And in the weeks where precision mode is hitting out of the park, your intraday mode, you're able to turn off or manage to have less risk and to be risk adverse. But with that being said, I also want to talk about version 1.01 that's going to be coming. And it's going to have a little bit of a UI change, as well as, so I made this mock-up myself. As you can see, my Photoshop skills are just not very spectacular. But we're moving some things. So we're moving the balance protection to the bottom here. So prior, you probably remember the balance protection was up here. We're actually moving the balance protection down here, and we're moving the ghost gear display here to make it more visible, so you can have an easier display of where the ghost gears are in the server, so you know if you're getting close to a trade. And then we're adding this enter now button. The reason we're adding this is, there's been many times I've, for example, maybe gone and seen, let me go find, Gotta find my other VPS. Hold on. There we go. Ignore this one. Da, 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 da. There we go. Sorry for something. There we go. So taking a look at this. All right. Here's the reason why we're adding the enter now button. Oops. Happened. First there. The reason we're adding the enter now button is because, there's times where I've come over and I've seen, like, for example, GBP CAD's on a cell 3. Well, maybe I saw this was on a cell level 5 and I enter on 6. Maybe instead of waiting till 6, I just said enter now and hit the enter now button. That's what that button's going to serve, is that you're going to be able to, go to your displays, see the ghost gears. And if you see you're like one away from entering, you could just enter the trade now if you want to. So we're adding the enter now button for those people that, they've seen that before, and then all of a sudden the trade reverses and now they just missed a trade that they could have gotten into. So we're going to add the enter now button. We're going to move the display as well. We're going to add some more in regards to correlation. For those of you that saw the recent correlation filter that we added, let me go back over to the VPS. So with the new correlation filter, you probably saw there's just a button that just says forbid opening trades on correlated pairs. So we're going to add another section, and we're going to actually just give this its own section called correlation settings. And you'll see this setting there, and then you're going to see 2 more drop-down menus. You're going to see time frame for correlation, 1 hour, 4 hour, or a daily. And then you're going to see a drop-down with correlation percent. And you're going to see 75, 85, 95. And what this does is it's going to determine the actual which percent it's basing its correlation off of. So to give you an example, we're going to come over here to my FX book. And if we were to go over to correlation, let's just say negative 85 and positive 85, all right, gets us these pairs that are correlated. Now, let's say we took it to 95. Okay, you see way less pairs are affected at 95. So this would be the less conservative option if you chose 95, because you're really looking for pairs that are highly correlated, but you're still going to enter others. 85 is a good medium. Then the more conservative correlation setting is going to be 75, which you can see a ton of pairs are 75% plus correlated. So you're going to have drop downs. That's coming in the next version, along with that UI change. Is we're gonna add more options to the drop down to give you more control on the correlation, the time frame you're basing correlation off of, as well as the percent you want the correlation filter to act on, as well as the visual display. The only other changes that'll be coming in 1.01 is making double TP and real trades TP more conservative after a third cost average. If any of you used real trades only or real trades double TP, you'll notice that after a second or third cost average, sometimes the TP tends to not move as much as you would expect it to. So we're going to make the TP a little more conservative in its cost averaging attempts on those TPs. And those are the updates to come in 1.01. And then there won't be any more updates to GearBox for at least 90 days after version 1.01, meaning that the product's extremely stable. There's not much more to release, update, change. At that point, we're actually going to go ahead and start working on the development of much more advanced features, such as separate hedging engines, more trailing stop losses, things that they're going to take some time to roll out, at least 90 days of testing and development. But, I did want to get you guys informed of where that's headed and what's going on. But now that you see, you have your precision modes, you have your instant entry modes, you know the strategies, you know how to set it up. All right, let's talk about the week ahead. If it looks like a good week for potentially using the actual intraday strategy this week, right? Does it look like it could be a good intraday week, or does it look like it's going to be the type of precision week? So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the news with Forex Factory. And we're going to go ahead and take a look for this week. And I can already tell you taking a look here, the beginning of the week starts very, very calm, but we do have some really volatile news this week. So you're going to take a look at this, and what you're going to see is first you have AUD RBA rate statement. Not really a big one, but it is a red folder. Now here's a big one. You see all currencies affected, OPEC JMMC meetings. This has to do a lot with oil, and that's definitely something that can make some strides in the market. You also see ISM manufacturing PMI for USD. You're going to see AUD GDP. And then as we get into Thursday and Friday, you're going to see that it is non-farm payroll. So it's NFP. So understanding that it is NFP, I would be pretty conservative in my meeting or my trading strategy this week. If using precision modes, I may even take my lot size down to 0.01 per 2K. And I definitely am going to make sure my max pairs trading is not more than 3 on precision modes. If you're on intraday modes, it's okay to use intraday modes. What I would do is I would try to stick to the pairs that aren't affected by the red folder news this week, right? So if we were to take a look at this pairs list, I'd maybe stay away from Canada. And, you know, we don't really trade USD pairs, but I'd probably stay away from USD. I'd probably stick to, you know, trading some of these other pairs like NZD CHF, CAD CHF, you know, maybe AUD NZD or Euro JPY. When it comes to the instant entry or skip a level strategies, just because, remember, intraday modes don't need a large move to happen to take a trade. Therefore, they're not as precise. Therefore, you actually want to limit the potential for them to get into a trade if you are using the intraday modes, which is why I always tell people intraday mode is a much more hands-on strategy. And I would tell you any intraday mode is not designed to be ran 24/7. There are times when you should get out of the market. There are times where you should close trades manually. There are things that do need to be done with intraday modes to really keep your account safe in all market conditions. Whereas precision modes are really designed to be able to handle any market condition and volatility, which is why I always tell people, please make sure intraday mode is your second license and that you're using precision as a first license, because precision is designed to be your savior. Intraday mode is designed to be what gives you something to do during those boring weeks and gives you the power to make some extra money and see the product get in and out. Great question. Jarslav said, why in the Excel with the 25 pairs? Isn't there the example Euro GBP, Euro NZD, and GBP CHF? To be honest, when we first started testing, we just didn't play with those pairs. We didn't play with them. We didn't really see value in playing with them. You can use them. They have programmed entries. But you know, the truth is, when we originally gathered a lot of data on forward testing and back testing, we focused on these 25, and we found that many of the pairs, such as the ones in yellow, just weren't ideal anymore for counter trend strategy or any form of reversal strategy. So we put them in yellow and said they're worst performing, so you don't use them. So really, there's about 19 pairs on here you can trade, and if you want to add those extra ones like GBP, you know, CHF and things like that, absolutely, you can go ahead. That's why they're not on the list. Let me get in here. Great question. Mauro said, how can we tell which weeks to use precision mode and which weeks to use intraday? Well, first, you should have 2 licenses. So one account's always on precision, and it's always running precision. And then you have a second account, which is running intraday. And as long as you're tuning into these intraday calls, you know when you should ideally not use intraday mode and how to not use it. And the same thing will be sent in the Cliff Notes of the Telegram. So you get the weekly developer insight. So how? You'll know which weeks based on me. If I say this looks like a really crappy week for intraday modes, maybe you should eliminate a pair, right? And again, it's not going to be that the mode's not going to be good. It's that there's going to be sometimes that there's certain pairs or news events that are going to limit intraday strategy from working at its fullest potential. Which again, you know, will always be released in the Telegram notes, the developer insights. So if you're not in the Telegram channels, make sure you're in them. And if you're not getting on these calls religiously, make sure you are as well. And that'll be good. Jake Daniel said, what's your take on risk? What is enough to just remove stop loss hunting? I'm not sure I understand your question, Jake. The way GearBox trades is a more institutional strategy. It has a very large stop loss, as you see. Therefore, we don't have to worry about stop loss hunting. It's not a scalper where everyone's taking the same trades and everyone's TP's a few pips away and then stop losses a few pips away. Like we're not in a category to be stop loss hunted and manipulated. Everyone takes different trades with GearBox and everyone has different TPs, exits, and entries with GearBox. So if that answers your question. Thank you. Is it possible to download this file and enter in the link to have it updated? I saw there were different gears for strategies, for example, 2 weeks ago. So it'd be great. Jaroslav, 2 weeks ago, and now the chart, the only thing that changed is the layout of the chart. The entries are all the same. We haven't updated the entries since March. So all your entries are the same as the chart you saw 2 weeks ago. I just reorganized the layout of it based on where they entered to make it look prettier. So same chart you saw 2 weeks ago. Anonymous attendee, what would you recommend for a $1,400 account? Well, first, I can't recommend anything, but what I would tell you based on data is an account that size, you should be using precision mode. So I would stick to swing or sniper with small capital like that. Just to read in through the Q&A. Any other questions for me while we're here? Sam said, not a question, you the GOAT. Sam, you the man. Appreciate you, brother. Well, with that being said, like I said, this is a volatile week later in the week. If you are going to use intraday modes in their normal form and not make any changes, maybe look to get out of trades earlier in the week and close out of trades by, say, Wednesday. If you're going to run through the entire week and NFP, not always the wisest decision if you're using intraday modes. But just understand the pairs that you're trading and their involvement or correlation with pairs that are affected by this news as well. So just my 2 tidbits as, like I said, intraday mode is always going to be a little more dangerous. Daniel, do you think I can leave my account on swing strategy for NFP week or move to sniper? Up to you, Daniel. I mean, it's all about your risk. Personally, I'm going to let my swing one stay in swings. I'm going to let my sniper one stay in sniper. But if you only have one account and you're a conservative person, then maybe sniper would be the conservative decision for you. Absolutely. It really depends on your risk appetite. But with that being said, I appreciate all of you tuning into the intraday calls. I know that the intraday call isn't as popular as, for example, our precision mode calls, which get a lot of people on them. But those of you that are using intraday modes tell me that you're more advanced GearBox users. You understand the product better than most people and that you really love the product. So I appreciate you guys getting here and being able to come. Daniel said, hey, I love skip a level, but I'm wondering, can I just increase my gear level for red folder news instead of just pause a pair at skip a level? So Daniel, first thing is when you say pause a pair, the pause button on GearBox doesn't actually pause trades. It pauses new trends. So if you were already in a trade, let me find a GearBox that's already got trades open. For example, I have EuroCAD here open. If I hit pause new trends, okay, it's not going to stop taking new trades on this sequence. It's going to not allow it to take another new sequence starting at the starting lot size. So like, let's say this buy closed and I had this paused, it now can't open another buy or sell until I unpause it. But if I hit pause right now, it still could take the next levels. So that wouldn't really do anything in news, especially if you already have trades open. Again, it's not going to do anything for you. Now, if you're trying to prevent it entering trades during red folder news, again, my thought processes would be to you, if you're using skip a level, to just not trade the pairs that have huge red folder news events. that'd really be my best advice. It's NFP week. Don't trade USD pairs. I mean, that'd be really my simple advice. I mean, you can try and get around it. You can try and pause pairs or do this or that, but ultimately you're going to end up in the same spot, which is drawdown. So, you want to be able to risk mitigate as best as possible. Yeah, you could go increase the gear levels if you're not already in trades to make it harder to get in a trade. But all in all, I would just not use those pairs that are affected during big red folder weeks and use the ones that aren't affected. That's why there is a list of 6 of them there. There's pairs on there that aren't affected by this week's news that you could trade to skip a level. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the Q&A. I also am going to show you guys a cool new tool. It's coming very soon. Let me go to my VPS. Here we go. So what you're seeing here is going to be very, very cool. So these are going to be new strategies that you're going to be able to implement. So there are 2 indicators here. The first thing is a TP line that you can move and drag around. So you can see here, my TP lines here. This trade's going for $15 profit. You can ignore the stop loss because it's not accurate because I haven't dragged it where it needs to go, but I'm on a lower time frame. And then you can see here the levels. Now you may see that my level 3 was taken a little bit farther down than where it should have been. Well, this is known as slippage. So what this is a level predictor. So even though I entered level 2 right here, this is my first level, I entered level 2. This is where 0 would have been. This is where 1 would have been, but I entered on 2. So then I can see that 3 should have been taken here. All right, but instead 3 was taken here because the market fell off a cliff and there was slippage. So by the time we actually got an entry, we got here. So again, it's not always going to be accurate because there is slippage, but it can kind of give you a visual of where those next levels should kind of fall in. The other thing that it's really cool for is it'll show you your break-even line. So you can see right here, this is my break-even line. So here's my TP, but here's where I need to get to just get out of this trade, which is really cool that you have that. So you have the ability to move this, and you can also see what it's like to move the TP, for example. Let's say you want to see what moving the TP to here would look like. Okay, $7 instead of 15. But maybe you're like, I'm okay with that. Well, if you were okay with that, we also now have this cool little script called move TP stop loss to line. So once you have your TP and your stop losses where you want them. So again, you see I moved my TP line there. I would come grab my red stop loss line. You could move your stop losses wherever and your TPs wherever. So in this case, I'm just going to show you guys me doing it. And I'm going to go ahead and test her out. And we're going to do this. Drag these lines until happy. Look at the lower learner. If you're unhappy, click OK, and it's going to move everything. So just do this and watch this. And you're going to see my stop losses and my take profits move. And just like that, all my stop losses moved individually to this line, and all my TPs just moved to this line, which is really cool, right? So really, really cool feature that you have there, and you can use. This is coming in the next update of GearBox with version 1.01. You're going to have access to this really cool tool, as I just showed you, and be able to use it. I'm going to go ahead and put my TP back where it should be. Somewhere right up here where it was at $15, and go back to the daily time frame, put my red line back where it needs to be, stop losses there, and just going to put my TP back, and just like that we removed them again. But yeah, like I said, this is a really cool tool so that you'll be able to, you can predict your next levels, kind of see where those should get taken. You can move your TP stop loss, kind of see what TP you're going for, and really have control of all of that. So, full control. So yeah, right now my TP is on the break even line, but I want to move it up. So we're gonna go ahead and get her here. Sometimes you got to go to a lower time frame to be able to actually click the line when it's on top of other lines, like this one in this case is right there, stuck in line. So when I click it, you see that's the only downside is when you do want to move it, sometimes you can get yourself into a spot. So there's our break even line. Here is ideally TP. The problem is when I move back to daily, it's going to move my line again here. Yep. There we go. And move our stop loss back. But this is how this tool is going to work. So you guys are going to have access to this, and this will be very powerful for many of you who have asked, oh, I want to make my TPs different. I want to change my stop losses. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this easier. Well, we're going to continue to give you the ability to do that in the education and the tools. So here you are. And this is GearBox. So really cool features. I hope you're all excited for them to come. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next calls. Well, let me check the chat real quick. I'm not seeing anything else here. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. I look forward to seeing you guys on the precision call as well tomorrow. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday evening and an even better Friday.